Alright guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to wrap this door, passenger door, with the door handle still on. You can see I've done a little bit of prep here by putting some tape over it, and also because I'm keeping the handle on, I decided to stylize the cup by putting a carbon fiber vinyl look, Vivid's Tech R carbon fiber as a cup in there, and then that way I can just trim around here with the rest of the door. I've got my piece already cut out. You can see it's just magneted up on the other door here. I got it ready. I clay barred the door as well as did an alcohol wipe, and then right before I apply this, I'll wipe down real quickly and very lightly the door again with a tack cloth to catch any last second dust or debris that might have gotten on the door between cleaning and actually applying. All right guys, let me set that up on my tripod and get going.
Once you have your door thoroughly cleaned, the first step is to take the vinyl you've cut out for the door and get it placed or mocked up where you will be applying the vinyl. Be sure that you center your vinyl so that you have full coverage of the door, plus some extra going past each edge on the top, bottom, and on both sides. Once you have your vinyl mocked up, go ahead and start to peel your backing paper or backing liner. I like to start on one corner and peel a decent amount off and then stick it on the car to hold it in place. And you can see when I do that, I had a couple of magnets on top of that to ensure the vinyl doesn't pop off while I peel off the rest of the liner from the vinyl. Once you got your vinyl anchored in the corner, go ahead and peel off the rest of the liner. After pulling off the entire liner, I like to glass out the vinyl across the door. You can see here I'm glassing out the vinyl towards the front side of the door using the triangle technique. I was pretty satisfied with my first glassing attempt, so I began to lock down the vinyl on the high point of the door, which is the body line that runs above the handle. In this case, I just used my finger to lock down the vinyl on that body line, as you see me doing in the video. With the high point locked down, I then applied the rest of the vinyl above the body line up to the bottom of the window trim. Where the vinyl meets the bottom of the window trim, I used the edge of my squeegee to really make sure the vinyl was tucked up against the bottom of the trim. With the vinyl now applied at the top portion of the door, I then glassed out the lower 2/3 of the rest of the vinyl on the door by popping out the vinyl tacked at the bottom and again using the triangle technique going down to glass out the vinyl. As I glassed out the lower part of the vinyl, note that I took care to set up the vinyl around the handle area to encapsulate it. So basically I just squeegeed relatively far away around the handle to form a large bubble around it, as you see me doing in the video. And once I finished encapsulating the handle, I then proceeded to squeegee the rest of the lower portion of the door. Once I finished applying the vinyl to the rest of the door, I then tackled the encapsulated handle area. The first thing I do is to add a bit of heat to cause the encapsulated area to soften the vinyl, but also cause that vinyl to shrink up. You want to shrink the vinyl at this point so there's not excess material that could build up when you then go to squeegee the vinyl towards the handle area. You'll know you've heated the vinyl enough when you see the vinyl naturally glass itself out. However, be careful not to overheat or burn or melt your vinyl when doing this. Once the vinyl has glassed itself out with heat and had a few seconds to cool, squeegee towards the handle area. The technique here is to squeegee in a circle around the handle area, keeping the amount of unsqueegeed vinyl around the handle relatively even. As you get closer to the handle, you get to a point where the vinyl will then start to get pretty tight. And at that point, it's time to make a relief cut. I like to make a hole in the shape of a handle, but smaller than the handle itself, as you see me doing here in the video. It's better to cut less first and cut more later rather than the other way around. Again, it's important that you tape off the handle first, as the tape will not only prevent the vinyl from sticking on the handle area aggressively, it will also add a protective layer on the handle to prevent you from cutting and scratching the handle yourself, such as when you're making this relief cut. Once you've made your relief cut, I like to again add a touch of heat to glass out any loose material and to soften the vinyl before continuing to squeegee towards the handle. Continue squeegeeing in an even circle around the handle as necessary, and when you're close enough, squeegee into each of the corners of the handle and then attach or attack the flatter sides of the handle, as you see me doing in the video. This technique is to prevent excess vinyl from being built up into the corners where it's difficult to resolve and lay flat without wrinkles. Make relief cuts along the handle area as required as you get closer to the edges and to allow the vinyl to come off the surface of the handle more easily as you squeegee towards the edge of the handle. Just be sure again not to cut off too much vinyl when doing so. Again, here less is more. Once you've got the vinyl tucked up against the handle edges, I then like to use a micro squeegee to ensure the vinyl is tucked in and against the handle edges really well. This will give you a good cut line to follow and minimize any chances of door paint color showing through. Once you have the vinyl tucked up well against the handle edges, I then set up the vinyl that goes into the cup area, where, as I said before, I had already laid a carbon fiber vinyl piece into the cup area. Lightly heat your vinyl and work the vinyl into the cup area with your finger, and you should see a line form where the edge of the vinyl cup that you already applied become visible underneath the vinyl you're applying over it. Work the vinyl gently about a 1/4 inch past that line to allow space for you to cut the vinyl you just laid over and into your cup as an overlap. And so once you've got everything set up, all your vinyl tucked against the handle edges and your cup area set up, it's time to trim out the excess vinyl. Make sure your blade is super sharp and snap off a new blade edge if necessary, and carefully trim out around the handle, following the lines you formed earlier with your squeegee and micro squeegee. Be sure to take your time here, and you may even need to do some micro squeegee again prior to cutting to ensure you have full coverage and that everything is tucked well and you have a good cut line to follow. And so at this point, I just remembered to pull out the plastic protective cap on the vinyl, which will make it easier for cutting, as it is just one less layer to cut through. When you get to trimming out the vinyl in the cup area, make sure the vinyl you applied again is over the edge of the cup area that is still secured, and then carefully trim out about an 1/8 of an inch past the line where you see the vinyls overlap. Be sure not to cut too hard here, as you only want to cut the top layer of vinyl, not through both layers. Again, a super sharp blade is important here, so snap off a new blade if you haven't already, so that you can cut the vinyl while applying minimal pressure. Just take your time and trim carefully. Continue to finish trimming out around the other side of the handle and the rest of the vinyl overlapping into the cup area. And once you finish trimming out the handle, make sure you cut all of your cut areas are sealed down well by pressing it down with your finger, micro squeegee, and adding maybe even a touch of heat. With the handle now done, it's time to finish trimming out around the rest of the door. Here I started toward the back of the door, and I first applied heat to the bridged gap where I had the vinyl going over the back of the door onto the fender quarter panel on the back. And heating it is to clean up the bridge that I made on that area by shrinking away any loose vinyl in the area so that it will ensure a clean and smooth cut. And so after heating the area, and when the vinyl is cool enough, smooth out the bridge with your finger. I like to use my wrap glove. That will smooth out any wrinkles as well as set up that line for cutting. Do the same on the front side of the door as well as towards the bottom. When you've finished heating and smoothing out all the vinyl around the door, it's time to cut off the excess. As you see in the video, I'm starting at the front side of the door, and here I'm doing what is known as a solid cut, where I'm using the back edge of the front passenger door in this case as my cutting guide. So I'll essentially put the right side flat part of my blade against the back edge of the front door and then cut down along that door's edge. Once that cut is finished, I'll then cut the back side of the door, and this will be what is known as an empty cut. And so essentially I'll insert my knife at an angle that cuts into the empty space behind that door's edge. And so essentially I'm holding the flat side, the flat right side of my blade in this case, against the back edge of the door at almost a 45-degree angle. And what this does is it cuts the vinyl in a way that leaves just enough vinyl to cover the edge of the door so that it looks fully wrapped. Once you finish cutting off the excess at the back, trim out the excess at the bottom. And here, because there's black plastic cladding at the bottom of the door, make sure your vinyl is tucked in against the cladding very well. Use a micro squeegee to ensure the vinyl is tucked in to where the door meets the cladding to define your cut line. And once you've done that to your liking, carefully trim out the area, taking care not to cut into your door. And when you're finished, go over the area with a squeegee and heat to make sure everything is sealed down well. With the bottom side now trimmed out, it's time to trim out the top of the door where the vinyl meets up with the window trim. I start out here by trimming off any excess, as that just gets in the way. After that, I make sure my vinyl that meets the bottom side of the window trim is tucked up against the trim very tightly, using my regular squeegee and my micro squeegee to do so. Once you've got everything tucked to your liking, carefully trim out the vinyl. And here, if you've tucked it well, you can get your blade in between the gap of the door and the seal of the trim and follow your tuck line as you cut. Be careful not to cut through your seal though. If you feel any resistance, stop and reset. And once you're done, be sure to go over the area again with your squeegee to ensure everything is sealed down. Once you finish trimming out the top, it's time to seal down all the edges you just trimmed out. To get the front and back edges, open the doors so you have better access. I like to use a touch of heat to soften the vinyl, and then with my hand and a wrap glove seal down the vinyl edge of the back of the door in this case. Once you've done that, go over the edge with heat to make sure everything is sealed down. For the front side of the door, because we did a solid bridge cut, you'll have more vinyl going over this edge, which is essentially an edge that's shaped kind of like a step. Hit the edge of the vinyl, or hit the vinyl edge with heat to soften the vinyl first. Give it a second to cool. Then I like to hit the high points, like you see me doing in the video, laying down those parts first. With the vinyl warm, use the hard edge of your squeegee at this highest point, and use your squeegee to lay down the vinyl over the edge, as you see me doing here. Be firm and deliberate about it so the vinyls lay down without any fingers. Once that's done, finish applying the vinyl over the rest of the edge of the door, up and down the door edge, and use heat as necessary to soften the vinyl and then apply. I also like to run my finger over the edge first, just a little bit to get the vinyl started, then finish applying by using my squeegee. Once you're done with that, be sure to go over the entire area with heat. And the last step to call this whole process done is to go ahead and post heat your whole door. And if you're interested in how I did the handle, go ahead and click the link in the description below or on the right side of your screen. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great day.